Good morning, everybody, and thank you for joining us for another episode of uh
Insights
what
from
is
the
it?
couch.
Insights from the couch. I'm going to start off immediately apologizing to anybody that's listening because I don't know if it's Mercury in its retrograde, Venus in the microwave, or who the heck who's working in the background here. Maybe all of the karma of the year is catching up to us, but our technology is not working. So we're just doing this because it's a really, really fun topic to talk about. We were getting into it almost immediately. So we're just gonna push through it and pray to God that it works out. But if we have some glitches, accept our apologies from the team of Insights from the Couch. Thank you, Dr. Anamaria, as always, putting up with the stressful situation of our technology
Oh,
issues. And thank you for joining me. And yeah, I'm excited. Let's
yeah,
let's
I'm
get
looking forward. I'm looking forward to this.
okay. All right. So today we're gonna get a couple of different perspectives on self-care, self-love, and the whole movement of self-care and self-love. And um essentially, what is that? How do you really, really approach self care, self growth, self love in a way that is effective for you, in a way that really brings something to your life, and that helps you to actually grow and see positive changes in your life? So, Dr. Ana Maria, you were saying you wanted to approach it from a holistic point of view. So I'd love to hear your thoughts on this, and then I'm gonna jump in. I got my own thoughts as well on.
Absolutely.
So go ahead.
Yes. So first of all, thank you again for having me. I really look forward to our chats and the glitches. It is what it is. I think that people can totally understand that we are very genuine in what we do, and so I think that glitches are genuine. It happens. So thank you for having me. I wanted to discuss self care from the standpoint of wellness. The name of my practice is Seven Counseling because of the seven aspects of wellness. I know some people use different models with more aspects of wellness or less, but the one that I use has seven aspects. So I typically approach my clients with that in mind, like what is happening in this person's life in all aspects of their lives, when it comes to wellness. So, is the physical wellness in alignment with the emotional wellness? Is the emotional wellness in alignment with spiritual wellness? So on and so forth. So, I feel that lately, what you were talking about is that self care is presented as a superficial way of caring for yourself. It's not really an inside job that shows in the outside. I feel like it is inside as it is outside. So I try to tell my people, if you are okay inside, it's going to show on the outside and you're going to care more for yourself. I also feel like people are not capable of loving other folks if they don't love themselves. So the whole self care, I don't know. I find it kind of superficial lately, especially with procedures, things like that.
I agree with you wholeheartedly. I here's my point of view on this. Especially therapists, I think that we kind of go down this path often of, oh, you just should practice some self-care and you should practice self-love, and like let's do some affirmations, and let's maybe have a bubble bath, and all these different things, and maybe stand in front of the mirror and say some positive things to yourself. um and the fact of the matter is that what I have come across is I have a lot of patients who have suffered for years with depression, anxiety, uh trauma, and for those patients, the concept of self-love is just completely alien. Is like, I don't actually care about myself. I would rather rot in bed on a couch and call it a day than be out here planning a cutesy little bubble bath with candles and my little lavender soap, and like, I don't care about that. I actually, as a matter of fact, don't bathe most days. So the way that I think we approach self love and self care and self affirmation sometimes misses the mark, because the person is coming to you most of the time with a lot more self-loathing than self-care or self-love or even the desire for it. And so for us to just say, oh, it's okay, just go ahead and start with like one affirmation and you'll be fine. Or start with a walk in the park and you'll be fine. I don't know if we're maybe not taking it and taking more seriously the situation and the thought process of the person.
Yeah, that's why I was kind of like thinking when somebody is talking about low self esteem, and sometimes I get clients that want to better their self esteem. That has to start from a deeper place. Yeah, I mean, the bubble bath is lovely. I'm just going to tell you, I love my baths. That's just me, especially with full moon. But that's not going to solve the problem. I think is looking inside. In my practice, I tell my clients, look, it doesn't matter where you're coming from because we all have different belief systems. But I happen to think that the spiritual aspect of wellness is key for a person to really love themselves. And, you got to look inside, you got to start healing from inside, you got to care from the inside. So being in connection with something greater than you, whatever that is super important. But that's just my personal view as a clinician. Some other people may disagree. So you can call it ABC. I don't care. But if you place your eyes on something greater than you, you're gonna find yourself taking care of yourself better. I think I was talking to you about this car analogy, and I use that with my clients sometimes. In my opinion, I don't have a clinical proof of this yet, but I think that we are spirit living a human experience in a human body. And so the body is kind of like a car that you're driving around this life. And if you want to take care of your car, that's great. If you want to tweak some things and keep it as a classic, that's wonderful. But that's not the meat and potatoes of self care or self love. And I think we're getting very confused lately because we're bombarded with stuff in media about take care of yourself, but it's extremely superficial. So, what I would say to the people that are listening is if you want to really totally work on self care, let's try some deeper connections with something greater and higher. And you can call it XYZ. It doesn't have to be God, it doesn't have to be universe. It can be very personal, but super important, in my opinion.
I agree with you 100%. I think that the first step, and what I really wanted to do in this podcast is I want to break it down from theology and from like just a generalized statement to like, let's really break down what really you can do. Um, so, like, when we talk about, like you're saying, seeing outside of yourself to something greater, if you can't fathom a relationship with yourself because maybe you don't like the person that you see in the mirror, or maybe you haven't really had a positive relationship with the person that you see in the mirror. Maybe you've been suffering from addiction. Maybe you've been suffering from a mental illness that makes you feel like you're not worthy or you're not good enough. um, then step outside of that, step outside of yourself, and just like Dr. Ana Maria was saying, try to start by focusing on something greater than you. And for me personally, that has become my spiritual connection to God, where I have found personally that I can actually appreciate my value and my worth as a human being more now as I understand that there's a creator that sees me as something really special and something really important and something that's worth dying for. Um, I can actually look at myself and say, wow, like if the creator of the universe took the time to actually make me and actually know me by name, then there must be something there. And I must have some worth if he took that kind of time. And so I don't have to see it for myself yet. But as long as I start to see it from his point of view and maybe eventually see myself in him and him and me, then my worth starts to build from there and I start to feel more confident in myself there. For other people, like Dr. Anamaria was saying, it might be a different situation. It might be the universe. It might be um, Buddha. It might be. I mean, there's all kinds of different things. But my point being, if we really, really break it down, if you cannot stand to live inside of your own mind, then step outside of your mind for a little bit and serve another. You can, if you don't have a religious background at all, then go and volunteer and start there. Serve another human being and start there and find your worth by serving someone else. I think that's a lot more in depth.
For sure. And since you're touching on spiritual aspects, because I started that part of the conversation and you were following with your personal experience, which I'm so grateful that you're sharing with people in the podcast. Because it shows we're human too, and you know what we are about, and that's totally valid. Um, but you, I think, mentioned something about whether people have addictions or they have a health care related issue that doesn't allow them to accept themselves or feel worthy. And the 12 step programs that are designed to help people with addiction, it is a huge part of those programs, the component of the spiritual experience. And when you look into it, it is phrased God as you understand it in the big book. And so it is such an important component of life that it is presented in 12-step programs to help people get out of addiction. Because if you can look at yourself outside of yourself, you start understanding that you have a greater purpose, perhaps, instead of looking at things from the inside, which is a little more selfish. Um, and I do want to say something else. I don't know, for some reason, again, the programming with social stuff and through media, I think that's how we get in this trance of self care that is superficial. I want to say a couple of things here. Maybe you have to bleep because of the names. Well, no, you know what? I'm not going to use the name of the medication, but you
Okay.
get a lot of semi-glutamine or semaglutide, I think it's called, ads all the time. I speak to some clients about this, and it's seen as self-care because people want to drop the weight. And yes,
Oh,
you know, that's a good way to do it. Okay, go get your shots. That's fine. But we are bombarded consistently with this. Let me tell you, Jalili, I have spoken to some clients about it, and then I get on my feed.
oh
Semaglutide.
yeah.
I'm not saying the name of the medication, but anyway, I also got on my feed something about this research that was done that it helps with dementia. So we're bombarded with this. You have to take it. You have to take it. This is self care. You have to drop the weight with that, with this. The other trend that I have been hearing lately is women that are terrified of menopause. And I have at least four beautiful ladies that came to see me specifically for women's issues. And they want to take care of themselves. And they're like, oh my God, I'm so scared. I'm perimenopausal. I'm reaching that point. And I'm like, but this is something that we have been doing since the beginning of time. It's going to be okay. It's a natural thing. And the reason being we're being terrorized with menopause is because there are companies that want to pump us with hormones. So
Mhm.
I think that there is a lot of confusion there with self care and just being
Mhm.
terrorized or like, this is going to happen if you don't do this. This is going to happen if you don't do that. And in the end, I hate to say it, but we all are gonna die. So yeah, let's take care of this body as much as we can. But it would be
So
interesting to take care of the mind and to take care of the spirit as well at the same rate. I'm just saying.
I agree with you 100%. It's the same tactic that gets used for makeup. It's the
Yep.
same tactic of and then women that don't wear makeup on a regular basis or don't wear makeup at all feel like it's some sort of a statement or some sort of like an
Mhm.
act of courage to show up on video or to show up on social media or show up in front of their friends without makeup. And it's like, this is your natural state and we should be comfortable. But unfortunately, we've been fed this idea that, well, you don't care about yourself if you don't put makeup on. You don't
Well,
looks. You don't care about being attractive. You don't care about, oh, are you depressed? Did you not sleep? That like
it's
because
it's I'm sorry to interrupt you. It's self-care related to image then, because the makeup comment that you just made is absolutely brilliant. I mean, I feel like maybe natural if we're talking about self-care, right? Natural is probably the way to go. But once again, the concept of self care is let's fix the superficial so that maybe we're going to fix the inside. So let me go ahead and get this surgery done so that I can feel better with myself.
Yeah.
Um, I don't know. I think you were talking about some examples there. I don't know if you want to share
Like,
those, but
okay, so I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna use the example that we were talking about beforehand. And I apologize if you're the type of person that does this, but seriously, it's just extra. Okay, so imagine that you are somebody who sees yourself. So imagine that you're a car. You as a person have now become a car. Some people see themselves as a hoopty, as A to Z kind of car where, well, I'm just barely making it. I'm not really getting, I mean, I'm barely getting by. I only put into myself just enough to make it to the next paycheck, but eventually I hope to be better or I hope to do better. So some people see themselves that way. Other people see themselves as a luxury car, and they see themselves as somebody that I should be taking care of myself. I should be looking fabulous. I should be investing in my skin, investing in my weight, investing in my health, like going out and getting fresh air, all these different things that I should be dressing really well. I should be, etc. And then there's people that are somewhere in between. Some are kind of like the Toyota, like, hey, not bad, not the cheapest, not the most expensive, just kind of like going through life. And so the example that I was giving is that the way that I see self-care nowadays is that you can be a person that sees themselves as a $500 hoopty in the mirror, and then you turn on Instagram or you go to your therapist and you get told, "Hey, if you just go ahead and put on $10,000 rims, you're going to feel so much better about yourself." No. When you look at yourself in the mirror, you're still $500 hoopty with a $10,000 rims. That's the only difference. That's the equivalent of if I go and I get a BBL, if I go and I get like a $1,000 facial, in 2 days, you're still gonna feel like crap. Except now you have less skin. I mean, or now you have a bigger butt. I mean, and it's a fact. It's like you didn't do the inside work. Now, as very specifically, let's take that $500 hoopty, okay? Let's go ahead and get a vacuum. Let's go ahead and get a brush and get some good old clean soap and let's get in there and let's vacuum it out really well. And let's go ahead and get under the hood and let's make sure we do a full oil change and let's make sure that we check all the filters and let's invest a little bit of money on the transmission and let's invest a little bit of money on making sure the brakes are doing great and it has a decent pair of tires. Now you're going to ride well and you're going to feel well in the ride. And that's the difference is looking good versus feeling good is two very different things, two very different concepts.
That was, I couldn't have said that better. And thank you for adding to my analogy about the car because I think that you made it much better. Thank you for that, Jalili. I was thinking that maybe in a deeper sense, people feel that they need to take care of themselves superficially in hopes that they're going to resolve what is going on inside. But inside, as a therapist, what I've noticed is that people come from a place of not feeling worthy, not feeling good enough, and then I think that whatever aspect, again, going back to spirituality, of spirituality itself, talks about universal love and acceptance. So that is the part that is going to fill the void inside about not feeling worthy. And that's the work that you were talking about with regards to the car. Let's go ahead and do the work to get that car to feel like a good ride from the inside. So
Mm-hmm.
we all do it differently, but once again, going back to wellness, I feel that it is super important for people to just question themselves. Okay, what aspect of my life, uh, besides the spiritual aspect that I said for me is the most
Mm-hmm.
important, what aspect of my life in terms of wellness do I need to be tweaking? Yeah, I mean the physical aspect is true, is important, but it's not everything. I've noticed that a lot of people, when I do a wellness assessment, that's the lowest when they rate themselves in terms of balance is their physical wellness. And I'm wondering, but wait a minute, is that related to maybe emotional wellness not being where it is? And voila, most of the time it happens that way. Or it could be, you know what, I'm spending 8 hours in this job that I hate or more, and I don't have the time to care about myself in other ways. So it's all about balance, not only spiritually, but I think in all aspects of wellness. I was talking about spirituality because I think that's the most important. But if people are in disagreement, it's all about balance. So maybe check in your life. The aspects of wellness, I'm so sorry, that I use are emotional, physical, spiritual, intellectual, occupational, um and there's a couple more that escape me right now, but just do like a little self exam in terms of the aspects of your life. You can include financial if you want to, or other aspects of your life. And maybe ask yourself what needs to be tweaked there. That is not a bubble bath. That is not a facial, $1,000 facial. That is not a
Right.
BBL, right? Seriously, because sometimes feeling better about ourselves or taking care of ourselves is not working a job that makes us miserable. I'm not telling you guys to go ahead and quit your jobs, but I hear this a lot too. Like, there is no sense of purpose working a job. And that ties into basic needs for a human being. We need a sense of belonging, a sense of purpose. And sometimes people are working these jobs and that makes them feel like crap. Therefore, they don't take care of themselves. Next thing you know is I'm having a beer at happy hour time, and which is not bad, guys. Like, if you want to have a beer or a drink at happy hour time, do that. But I think that people are like, well, shoot, I got to go to bed. I don't have time to pray. I don't have time to work out. I don't have time to. So it just it's a matter of balance, I feel, with the self care.
And okay, so a couple of things to that. I would say first, if so you emphasize quite a bit on the job. Let's say that
Yeah.
the person can't leave that job, right? There's a science behind working on the things that you can work on,
Mhm.
um, that will naturally increase your happiness, even in areas where you're not satisfied. So, if you're the type of person that just can't afford to like quit your job and maybe go and become a starving artist that just, like can sustain themselves because that's your life's goal, but instead all you can do is work at McDonald's. Well, that's okay. Let's leave that aspect for a minute, and then let's look at there's six others, right? And let's look at the six others, and as you find small measurable victories in those other areas of your life, you might find that your job and getting and going to your job has a different purpose. And the reason why I think that is because you can go from, well, I'm just here and I'm just kind of trying to make it through another day, to, well, I looked at my finances and I started to get educated about finances and I started to think about how I could do better in my finances because that's one of the seven aspects of my well-being. And I found out that if I follow this plan, I could save a little bit of that McDonald's check, and I could then invest a little bit and then invest a little bit more, and within the next 5 years, I could go and become an artist, something like that.
And that's self-care that is related to purpose in the end. So it is not just putting a little band-aid over a problem to help yourself make yourself feel better, but in actuality, putting something into practice that has to do with your wellness. So
Hmm.
I think that self-care, in my humble opinion, going back to the beginning, is extremely related to wellness and those seven aspects of wellness. I was going to say, I also notice social wellness is a big one for people too. And
Hmm.
sometimes when you're not connected, even if you're an introvert or an extrovert, it doesn't matter. But when people are not connected, that really has an effect in their emotional wellness. And then they feel like they're not worthy. But let me just go ahead and spend this money here. on the semaglutide so that I can drop weight and maybe feel better about myself. So it's like you're not paying attention to the aspect of wellness that you need to be working on.
Yeah.
Going back to spirituality, if you look at things like, okay, well, everything is happening for a purpose or a reason, and I'm just going to give it time, I'm going through this journey. That's why I say to people, that's the most important one. Because if you look at it that way, everything that happens in your life has a purpose, a sense, a reason to be. But I'm not going to hammer the listeners with the spiritual stuff. All aspects of wellness are equally important. In my opinion, spirituality is the most important, but that's my opinion.
Yeah.
So, self care has to come, I guess you were saying, from within, as opposed to being something that we're doing with the body, with the car, something superficial. It has to be more from within.
Right. And what we've been talking about is this concept that society sells us a ticket to a very hedonistic approach to self care. It tells us that just buy this, like, just buy this $20 lipstick and you're going to look like the model on the picture. And all of a sudden, you're going to feel good about yourself. Or it says, just invest in this $1,500 diet plan and you're going to feel good about yourself and you're going to look perfect. And within 20 days or 15 days, you know.
Yes. And for
So,
guys, oh, I'm
uh huh.
sorry to interrupt you, but
Go
I
ahead.
think for guys, it's applicable to men that, identify themselves as men. It could be something like get this expensive car, get in
Mm-hmm.
debt
Or
because you need
watch,
to have.
or
Exactly. Get the expensive watch, or I'm sorry for saying this, guys, if you're listening out there. If you're in your 60s, if you date someone that is 20 years younger than you, that's going to give you the value, and that's self care because you deserve it. You work your whole life.
mhm.
I mean, love has no age, but I'm just saying what you're talking about. Society sells us this things that are supposed to be for self care and to take us to this nirvana of happiness, and we're just gonna live a better life, and it's not always like that.
Yeah,
And
unfortunately, uh, I hate to burst your bubble if you're listening to this and you're this type of person that believes this, but the fact of the matter is, there's no such thing as self love without self sacrifice. We literally are what we repeat. We are our patterns. And so if your pattern is I talk down to myself, I use oftentimes are cynical, negative, I put myself down on a regular basis, I go to bed whenever the heck I feel. I wake up and complain that I'm too tired. I don't drink enough water. I don't eat well enough. I don't even try to take care of my body. You're never going to feel good about yourself. And that's because you're relying on cheap forms of escape, and anything that's cheap is always going to give you the same return on your investment, and that's cheap return. That's temporary approval, that's temporary, like a feel good moment, but it's not lasting and it's not true self care. If you really want to start loving the person in the mirror, you have to realize that the only way to do that is to change your patterns and slowly but steadily start to work on things that make you feel uncomfortable, things that put you out of your comfort zone,
Mhm.
things that require work, things that require sacrifice. Because every time you accomplish something, every time you see yourself getting a little closer to your goals, that's going to make you feel true love for yourself, true appreciation for yourself. Go ahead.
I will piggyback on what you're saying, and I would say that I would like to add to the word sacrifice, or maybe exchange it for something like discipline and consistency,
Mhm.
because that's what's gonna definitely help the person get where they need to get in terms of self care. I will tell you, I love my hard workouts. And a lot of people are like, how do you do that? And the reason why I enjoy it is because it feels good in my body. And I love my body so much, and the person that is inside, that I want to take care of this outside too. So I go and do my workouts and it feels really good. I don't look at it as a, I have to go and push this, and I have to go lift this weight. So, what you were talking about in terms of sacrifice, I want to say I would use the word consistency and
Yeah.
discipline more like but yes, definitely you have to do something different for sure. You can't love yourself and hurt your temple, your body. You cannot love yourself and not be consistent or not sacrifice something or change something. So yeah.
Right. So to finish up, I'm going to just kind of give you a quick synopsis of what we're talking about. First and foremost, you might start out by looking at yourself in the mirror and asking yourself this question: if I was to meet myself today as a complete stranger, would I want to be my friend? Would I want to know me? And if not, then what would be some things I would want to see different in that person, so then I would want to be their friend? So if you were a complete stranger meeting somebody that was exactly like you today, would you want to be that stranger's friend? And if not, what would you change about that stranger to get closer to them and to actually want to have a positive relationship? That is where you start top to bottom, the seven aspects of self-care and self-love. Is like, would you change that person's financial situation? Would you change the way that they handle their personal lives, their hygiene, their finances, their spirituality? What would you change about that person that you would want to see different, so that you could connect with them better and so that you could actually feel a closer attachment to that person and a desire to be friends with them? So that's the first thing, is just kind of do a quick review. That's an exercise where you can use the seven aspects of self-love and self-care. Then the second thing is recognize that you got to where you are today because you allowed your patterns of behavior, your attitudes about yourself, to take advantage of your emotions. So you felt sad, and so you were sad, and so you stayed sad, and so you did sad things. You were anxious, and so you felt anxious, and so you thought anxious thoughts, and so you did anxious things, and you stayed anxious. You maybe felt low about yourself and like you had no worth, and so you treated yourself as if you had no worth. And the fact of the matter is, what got you there is really not what's going to get you out of it. And so thinking about those patterns and saying, okay, maybe today I'll go for a walk instead of just rotting in front of Netflix. Maybe tonight I'm actually going to try to set my alarm for tomorrow at a decent time. Maybe I'm going to try to go to bed 20 minutes earlier than I usually do and continue to progress on that. Maybe tomorrow I'll make my bed, and go from maybe to definitely to doing it. Because the things that's going to really help you to respect yourself and love yourself, and self respect is a huge thing, is setting boundaries with that aspect of yourself that puts you where you are right now and saying, you know what, maybe let's do better. Like, I'm ready to do better. And I think we can make it happen. So that's my feedback, Dr. Ana Maria. If you'd like to give any closing words.
Yes, Jalili, thank you so much. So I'm gonna get a little weird or weirder here than typically the weird I am,
Let's get weird. It's
in a
okay.
good way. Yeah, I just wanted to say to my people or our people, because I know I have some listeners that are, clients of mine and our people together as the traveling therapist, Insights from the Couch podcast, and the universal laws. It doesn't matter what you believe, and it doesn't matter if it is XYZ. You are worthy. You are loved. You are here on this earth with a reason and a purpose. And if you want to figure it out, if you want to find out how to care for yourself at a deeper level and better, that's what we're here for. Therapy is a great way to do this. You can also look for pastoral counseling. You can go to a church. You can join a meditation group. But that is a good beginning, and I would suggest that. But let me tell you all out there, you are worthy. You are loved as you are. So that's what I wanted to say for a closing statement.
And just one thing, if you do go visit a therapist, feel free to tell that therapist, listen, I'm here for the truth. Like, I've done the soft love, I've done the soft therapy, I've done the feel good stuff. It's not working for me. I'm ready to really get uncomfortable. I'm ready to get in there, do the hard work, get diligent, start really respecting myself, start loving myself, and I need your help with that. And the therapist, I think, will be happy to help you with that, because oftentimes we don't get patients that are that interested in doing the work. So if you really want to do it, go to the therapist and say, I need kind of some help and a guide, but this is what I really want. I want real change, and I'm ready. I've decided that it's going to happen this time. And so that's my recommendation if you do seek support from a pastor or a therapist, or even a friend. If you're going to do it with a friend and you're going to like have how do you call it, accountability buddy, tell that accountability
It could be
buddy.
a it
Go
could
ahead.
be a personal trainer too.
Yeah, yeah. Whoever you're gonna go to for accountability or to help you through the journey, let them know, like, hey, I want you to be honest with me. I want you to test me and question me and push me. Um, and we say this and we do these podcasts because we love you guys, and we do see your worth. And um, it doesn't matter where you are in life. It doesn't mean that you need to live there and stay there. Like, we're always in transition and we're always moving forward. So don't give up on yourself. Just keep trying. Keep getting up every day. It's a blank slate. Every time you wake up in the morning, you have a whole new opportunity to do something wonderful for yourself. And we say things, and we hope that you guys enjoyed them, and we hope that you guys appreciate the podcast. And as always, leave us your comments, your questions, your suggestions, and we'll see you again on Insights from the Couch. Take care.